Hey everybody, Ben here for the Bonehead podcast, and we've got more breaking news for Blood Bowl for you today, and that is that we've had another star player revealed on the Warhammer community, and it is a classic old dwarf star player who's been through the mill a couple of times. We are looking at the brand new Barik Farblast model. Now, it's Forge World, so we don't know when it's going to be released. There's some interesting things about him in the community article so that we can kind of guess where he's heading, and then what we'll do is we'll have a look at the old stats to see if we can guess whereabouts Barik Farblast is going to be. So the article was dropped today. The only thing arriving with a bigger bang than Barik Farblast's bazooka is today's Blood Bowl FAQ. So we've done a video on the Blood Bowl FAQ already today, some cool changes in that one, but it's always nice to see some cool Blood Bowl minis revealed, and this is a really active one. We've seen plenty of tall star players and monstrous big guys join the Blood Bowl dugouts lately, so it's a refreshing change that the newest star is a full head and shoulders shorter. Barik Farblast is a thrower of no small repute, largely owning to, well, you'd best see for yourself. And then we've got our first look at this miniature. So we have got a dwarf, and the dwarf has got the classic, well, now classic, I guess, it's been long enough. It's got the same armor as the standard dwarf team, the same helmet style as the standard dwarf team, you know, the kind of like boxy one looking. And the dude's got a massive bazooka on his shoulder. And the really cool thing here is we've got the ball shooting out the end of it. There's a massive plume of smoke and some really lovingly painted kind of like flames coming out of it, which is really, really great. So very dynamic model. There are some people out there who hate the fact that Games Workshop tends to do their stars on one leg, and he is on one leg. In fact, one leg's up in the air because he's being blown off his legs by shooting the bazooka, and that other foot is just on his heel. Looks like there's a sculpted bit of the base that sort of glues to the base as well, naturally, with a skull right there. He's so skilled at blasting the ball out of his cannon that he can accurately on point Hail Mary passes from all the way across the pitch, and he's accurate enough to be able to re-roll the scatter dice once per game. He can play for the Halfling Thimble Cup, the Old World Classic, and the World's Edge Super League, which might finally make that dwarf throwing game attainable. So right there we've got a bunch of clues as to what this guy is going to do. Let's start with the teams that he can play for. Old World Classic, World's Edge, and Halfling Thimble. So we're looking at Halflings, we're looking at Ogres because they've got Old World Classic. Well, World's Edge, that's the Dwarf teams. He's basically that kind of team. So no Elves, no Goblins, no Orcs, no Chaos teams. We're looking at Nobility, Humans, Dwarves, stuff like that. Which it makes a lot of sense. What teams would a Dwarf play for? Those are your teams, and the Halfling Thimble Cup teams as well, which is wicked. There's some more great shots of the model there as well. I mean, I really do love the plume of smoke. I think it's brilliant. You see, I've even got a side-on shot. I really like that. That's very, very cool. I mean, this is the nicest paint job we've seen from Forge World. It's going to be a really fun model. I think this is worth picking up just to paint. Now, there are a ton of cool third-party Farblasts out there, including the retro one, which is featured in this article. But let's have a look at what we think he's going to do on the pitch. So he's skilled at blasting the ball out of his cannon that he can accurately on-point Hail Mary passes from across the pitch. So we're looking like he's going to get Hail Mary. It says he's accurate enough to be able to re-roll the scatter dice once per game. So the scatter dice will be the D8. So when you make a Hail Mary pass, well, it got nerfed, didn't it? So the Hail Mary pass is now -3. So we're looking at an accurate result here. An inaccurate pass, you get to re-roll one of the D8 rolls. So it's going to be okay in that. I think we're going to have to see something a little bit more than that to make Hail Mary pass worthwhile. It says he's accurate enough, so we may see him get accurate, but this is definitely going to be secret weapon. Definitely going to have Hail Mary pass as well. Let's hope he has something better than a passing of 4+. It's going to be an interesting one. Here we go. We've got the classic old model here. Veteran coaches may remember Barik's first appearance in metal from way back in the murky mists of 1988. But don't go digging for your old rulebook. His updated rules are included in the pack alongside a highly detailed new Forge World miniature cast in resin. So 1988 was the year I was born. So that's cool. So Barik Farblast is, you know, a very old sculpt. And the new one is pretty good, but you can see the classic design of the bazookas right there. This is how dwarves used to look in the olden times, and I loved it. The round helmet, just brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I love seeing the old 2nd edition dwarves. Speaking of star players, they're one of the focuses of this month's FAQ, but you know what? We've already done that bit. So that just covers the stuff for the FAQ. Now let's have a look at how he used to work in the 2016 edition. So we've got Barak's rules here from the 2016 edition of Blood Bowl. So he was a dwarf. For 60k you could get a star player, movement 6, strength 3, edge 3, armor 8. So in the old rules, transitioning to the new one, that would be movement 6, strength 3, edge 4 plus, edge 3 plus, sorry, and armor 9 plus. So a little bit less tough. Now I think they'll fix that because he looks like he's armored, but that's based on runner stats. So we're looking like Barak is probably going to come in statted the same way as a runner here. What's a runner's passing stat? Is it 3 plus? I think it's probably the best they get. So could be seeing him land with a 3 plus skill. So skills of the olden times, he had Hail Mary Pass, Loner, Pass, Secret Weapon, Strong Arm, Sure Hands, and Thick Skull. So if we translate that over to the new edition, Hail Mary Pass stays the same. It is a -3 to the throw though, which is interesting. Loner, probably going to see Loner 4 plus, standard for star players, especially of this ilk. Pass would be good, especially if he comes in landing with that 3 plus passing skill. Secret Weapon is really tough, but at a bargain price there of 60k, that's probably okay to go for one offensive drive. Strong Arm in the old edition gave you +1. That would now be Cannoneer. So potentially going to see a passing 3 plus piece land with Pass and Cannoneer, which means 3 plus, 4 plus, 4 plus, 5 plus. So looking at a 75% success rate of a pass of 7, 8 or 9 squares. Which is okay. I mean, yeah, it's okay. Sure Hands and Thick Skull, yeah, because Barik Farblast essentially back in the last edition was just a runner. So having Sure Hands makes a lot of sense. So that's all well and good. So in a dwarf team, is he going to be that useful? Probably not. But now we're looking at Barak playing for some other teams. It's definitely going to open up the options here. So there is no other old world good, basically. I say good. You've got the elves, but no like human decent thrower positional. I'm really surprised there's not like a star player human thrower. I mean, Griff's amazing, but come on, let's have like a Aaron Rodgers style, you know, amazing thrower. So Barak could be that thrower, and at 60k he's an absolute bargain. It's a cheap player, all right? This is going to open up those teams like halflings and ogres who want a cheap sure hands piece for an offensive drive. That's going to be really effective there as well. So I'm thinking from even from a league point of view, if you've got 60k, what can you take for 60k? Like a keg? You could take a keg, or for one drive you can have a dude that has some great passing ability but is essentially just an edge 3 plus sure hands move 6 piece. Now for 60k, if that price stays the same, I can see Barak actually fulfilling a use here. Now the big punting Hail Mary thing, unless they fix that in some way, it's not going to be great, because Hail Mary Pass, they changed it in the last FAQ to be it's -3 to make those Hail Mary passes, which is not all that useful. That basically means it's a 6 plus pass in the longest situation. Now if he comes in with passing 3 plus, that'll be the same as well. Let me just see if I can find that Hail Mary upgrade, because that was, is Hail Mary Pass treated as a long bomb when determining any modifiers for testing for accuracy? Yes. So even if he lands with Hail Mary Pass with a passing of 3 plus, it would be a -3 to the roll, which would mean a 1, 2 or 3 would be a wildly inaccurate. That's pretty tough. Now what it could mean is with his special ability he gets to reroll a scatter dice. It might count to be able to re-roll the d8 when failing abysmally. Now he's got pass as well, so there's a 75% chance of being able to inaccurately hoon it down the pitch, I guess. It's a bit of a stretch play. I think Scroll works better, and I would not hate it if my opponent rocked up with this guy and was like, I'm going to use him as Scroll because Scroll isn't Secret Weapon. But 60k for a dwarf with sure hands is going to be really useful. I am very much looking forward to this. I think the model is going to be great fun to paint up, and I'm very excited to see these rules, because we might actually have a old world thrower on our hands in the form of a very cheap star player. I don't know, don't want to get my hopes up, but 60k would be a very sweet spot here, especially now that the other non-dwarf teams can take him. Love it. Anyway guys, let me know what you think of Barik Farblast. I'm glad to see him back. We want Flint Churnblade next, please. Let's get the dwarf with the chainsaw. And yeah, I'm going to disappear. Thank you very much for watching. Happy blocking.
Thanks very much for watching. We really appreciate your support. If you want to help support the channel even further, please like and subscribe, or come join us on our Patreon. We have early access to content, we get loads of feedback from you guys, and we try and do competitions as much as we can. Or you can get yourself some Bonehead podcast merch on our Spreadshirt site. So if you want to support a team, especially for the Bonehead Championship, you can pick up a shirt, a mug, things like that. It all helps support the channel, and we really appreciate it. Anyway, links below. Thank you very much. Happy blocking.